everyone, welcome back to Resource Geography. Today we will be starting with the topic classification of resources. So in yesterday's topic we have considered what is a resource, what are the characteristic feature a material should possess to become a resource, how this material will be converting it into a resource, and what the study of resource geography is based on. So we will start with today with the topic resource classification. So the Earth's resources are generally classified under many grounds. The resources are generally classified based on the availability of the materials. They are classified based on origin, classified based on the exhaustibility. Resources are also classified on the basis of ownership, and sometimes we also classify the resources on the basis of status or the different stages of development. So let's look into detail in some of these important classification of resources. Based on the availability, the resources are generally classified under two groups: ubiquitous resource and localized resource. If the resource or a material is found available anywhere in the world or in our Earth's surface, we consider them as a ubiquitous resource. So it can be found anywhere in the world, like our sunshine, air, etc. At the same time, a localized resource is a resource or a raw material that will be available only at certain locations. Consider the case of gold. We can find the pockets of gold only under certain regions. Similarly, the case of iron, many more minerals, our fossil fuels like petroleum and all, they are localized minerals. On the basis of origin, the resources are classified into two types, the biotic and the abiotic resources. The word bio itself will signify the meaning of the resource. That means the raw materials or the resource that have life in it. All the living organisms in our environment are considered as biotic resources. Like our forest resource, wildlife resource, all comes under biotic since they have a life in it. At the same time, an abiotic resource is a resource or a raw material that doesn't have life in it. It represents all non-living things present in our environment. You can take the example of water, minerals, etc. under the abiotic resource. The most important one, classification on the basis of exhaustibility. So, this topic has appeared many times in our university exams. So, how the resources are classified on the basis of exhaustibility? Generally classified into two groups, renewable resource and non-renewable resources. The renewable resource is that resource that will get replenished by natural process, either by physical, chemical or biological process. So, they will be regenerated through natural processes. At the same time, a non-renewable resources cannot be regenerated or regrown, and they will get destroyed after continuous use. A renewable resource will get replenished very faster when compared to a non-renewable resources. So what happens here is that in case of a renewable resource, the replenishment rate is comparatively higher than that of the rate of consumption of such resources. At the same time, a non-renewable resource is generally fixed in nature, and hence they will take millions of years to regenerate back to its original formation. You can take the examples like sunshine, water, forest, wind, etc. for a renewable resources, and fossil fuels, minerals comes under non-renewable resources. The renewable resources are further classified into two. They are flow resource and fund resource. Non-renewable resources is also classified into or subdivided into recyclable and non-recyclable resources. We will be looking these two classifications, sub-classifications in the coming slide. Flow and fund resources. The word flow signifies the meaning or the identity of that resource. That means if the supply of these resources, if they remains unchanged even after continuous use, we will consider them as flow resource. That means these type of resources will be available like a flow. Take the case of a sunshine. Same time, a fund resources is that resource or material that are not everlasting, and the supply of such resources will get destroyed after continuous use, like our forest. If we are going with the depletion of forest continuously means it may take some time to regenerate back to its original formation. The rate of replenishment is comparatively lower than the rate of consumption. So we will be consider them as a fund resource. Now, recyclable and non-recyclable resources. Resources which can be used again and again in one or another form, we will be consider them as recyclable resources. So these type of resources can be utilized again in another form. Take the case of a mineral like iron ore. Once we have used it, and the scrap material can be again recycled and can be converted into another feature or another model. So iron ore comes under recyclable resources. At the same time, in case of a non-recyclable resources, it includes all the substances that cannot be put into use in any form again if once it has been used. So any substances, if once used, we cannot use it again in any other form, like our fossil fuel. Once it is exhausted or once it is used, it is lost forever. We cannot recycle it in any form. On the basis of ownership, the resources are classified into 4 types: individual resources, community owned resources, national resources, and international resources. So what is an individual resource? The resources, if they are owned and managed privately by individuals, we consider them as individual resources. Consider the case of our land, our house, agricultural properties and all. We will be paying revenue to the government against this property and owned and maintained by ourselves. Such type of resources are called as individual resources. Community owned resources. If the resources are accessible to all the members of a community, we classify them as community owned resources. Take the case of a burial ground. We cannot have burial ground for each one privately. We cannot have a park for each of our every houses for us. So what happens here? There will be a burial ground for a village or for a city. There will be a public pond, a public well will be there, public parks will be there, a grazing ground will be there in a village, so that all the members in that village or a city or that community can have access to it. Such resources are classified as community-owned resources. National resources. The resources that generally belong to a nation, we will consider them as national resource. We can take the case of a river, forest, wildlife. All these things comes under a national resource that a particular state or a community cannot claim. All such resources will be maintained and managed by the central government. So, which are our national resources? As I already told you, rivers will come under national resource, forest will come under national resource, our wildlife sanctuaries, national parks will come under the national resource, even the political boundaries and oceanic area up to 12 nautical miles. So from our coast up to 12 nautical miles, or if we have a coastal zone, that will be also considered as a national resource. So 12 nautical miles means approximately it will come under around 22 kilometers and all. So up to 12 nautical miles from the sea coast belongs to a national property. Note this point. Then what is an international resource? If some resources are generally regulated or owned by the international institutions, like our oceans. Which area? the ocean resorts beyond 200 nautical miles from a national coast. Exclusive, the economic zone belong to open ocean. So, an open ocean generally belongs to international resorts. We cannot claim, or any nation cannot utilize or claim such type of resources without the permission of international institutions. So, remember that the oceanic resources beyond 200 nautical mile, within 12 nautical mile from a country's coast, will be classified as a national resource, and beyond 200 nautical mile, that after or excluding the economic zone of a country, belongs to international resources. Now, the classification of resources based on the status of development. Based on the status of development, the resources are again classified into 4 types: a potential resource, developed resource, reserve, and stock. Let's look into it. What is a potential resource? The word itself signifies potentiality. So, the resource or the material that is found available throughout a region, but we are not utilizing it to its maximum ability, we consider them as potential resources. So, that material is having the potentiality, we know the technology to use it, but we are not utilizing it to its maximum extent. We consider them as potential resources. Consider the case of wind and solar energy in Rajasthan and Gujarat. Rajasthan is the region that receives very high amount of sunshine, but still we are not able to utilize this much solar energy to convert it into as an energy resource. So, the resource or the sunshine having the potentiality, but we are not utilizing it to its full extent. We consider them as potential resource. A developed resource is that resource that is already surveyed, and we have determined the quality and the quantity of that resource for the utilization. We have good technological development to utilize or convert that resource to the maximum extent. Hence, technological development plays a very important role in developed resource. Consider the case of water resource in India. We are maximum trying to utilize such type of resources with the help of a multi-purpose river valley project. So, that type of resource will come under developed resource. What is a stock? You might be knowing the word stock. We are keeping it, or something is there in the godown. So, similarly is the concept of stock. It is the material in the environment. It has the potential to satisfy our need, but we humans lack appropriate technology to access it. So, a material can satisfy the human need, but we don't have the proper technology to utilize it. We classify them as stock. In the previous session, I have cited the example of hydrogen and oxygen in the atmosphere. We know that the water is generally formed by the compounds of 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen, and this is freely available in our nature. Still, we don't have the technology or the technical know-how to use this resource or this material to make it as water. That comes under stock. Then what is a reserve? We are reserving the seats or tickets for a movie. The same is applied over here also. Reserve is a subset of a stock. We can put to use such type of resource with the help of existing technology, but we have not started utilizing it to the maximum extent. Why? Because we are keeping such type of resources to meet our future requirements. So, we are thinking about the future and keeping some resources. Even if we have the technology to utilize it to maximum extent, we are keeping it for the future generation. Such type of resource, we classify them as reserve. Take the case of a natural gas in our Kaveri Godavari basin. You might have heard the Krishna Godavari basin, KG basin, what happens is that it is estimated that around 5 trillion natural gas is available in the KG basin, but still we have not started its production. Why? Because we are keeping it for the future requirements. So these are the major classifications of resources. I hope you have enjoyed today's session. For any clarifications, you can meet me with your Edmodo class coach. Thank you and have a nice day.